Better late than never. I finally now was able to talk about the movies that I watched in October of 2021. I watched a big variety of different movies from different countries, from different time periods. So yeah, let's talk about them. My best friend and I start the month off by going to the Zurich Film Festival to go see the premiere of The French Dispatch. Over the past year, I've seen all of Wes Anderson's movies, and so I was really excited to go see his new movie. And yeah, I had a great time watching it. I must say there was a lot going on in the movie, a lot of different stories and all that. So yeah, just like the Grand Budapest Hotel, I think it does take like at least one or two rewatches to be able to fully appreciate the movie. Next, I watch Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown by the Spanish director Pedro Almodovar. I've seen a couple of his movies now, and this was one of his earlier films, and it contained a lot of the elements that you see like in his best known works. So the beautiful colors, just the dramatic performances, and Antonio Banderas. He's basically in almost all of his movies nowadays. The Academy Award winning writer and director Barry Jenkins once recommended in an interview to watch the movie George Washington, so I decided to do that. I find those the best experiences, just going into something, not knowing anything about it, and just being, surprised by it. I honestly can't even explain why I liked it that much. It just felt very personal, very real, and it just reminded me again of how moving movies can be. Sunset Boulevard is regarded by many as one of the best screenplays and is also a favorite movie of many directors, including David Lynch. It deals with the transition from the old silent era in Hollywood to the new sound era, and how some of the actors, actresses, and directors didn't make the jump and were kind of left behind and eventually forgotten. I really enjoyed the story and seeing old Hollywood depicted on the film, and I really hope to one day read the screenplay of Sunset Boulevard. I continue with another masterpiece called Persona by the Swedish director Ingmar Bergman. This movie was very unique. Not just the story of it or how it was told, but just like there are these random like things that kept on appearing, especially in the beginning, at the end of the film. And it's definitely a movie that I didn't understand everything, and I don't think everything is meant to be understood. Richard Linklater has become one of my favorite writers and directors, and so I was really looking forward to seeing his first feature film called Slacker. Like many of his other films, this was also very dialogue driven, and I personally really enjoyed that. Next, I watched Sisters by Brian De Palma. It's a very good psychological thriller with some elements of the horror and mystery genre. This movie had me captivated for the entire time, and I always kept wondering how are things going to turn out and what will happen next and so on. I've never seen a movie by Jacques Demy, and because I had heard a lot of great things about Les Parapluies de Cherbourg, or the Umbrellas of Cherbourg, I decided to watch that first. What I didn't realize at the time was that it's a musical, and every spoken word in the film is sung by the characters. Now, I do like musicals a lot, but just that night I wasn't really in the mood to watch a musical, especially with just singing in it. But nevertheless, I still really like the story, and whenever I feel like watching a musical, I will definitely give this movie another watch. I continued on with some French movies from the 1960s. The next one I watched is called Les Yeux sans visage. It's a horror movie from 1960, and it reminded me a lot of The Skin I Live In by Pedro Almodovar, because they both had to do with a surgeon who is heartbroken and just kind of does this experiment, this unethical experiment to try and save a loved one. That's the best way I describe it. Jean-Luc Godard is the father of the French New Wave, and so I decided to watch two of his most influential movies. The first one was called Une femme et une femme, which means a woman is a woman. What makes Godard's movies such amazing is the frequent collaborators Jean-Paul Belmondo and Anna Karina. Their chemistry together is just so great and I love watching them on screen. The two of them also starred in the movie Pierrot le Fou, which is at the moment my favorite Godard movie. I believe this is one of the first movies where they broke the fourth wall. That is, when some of the characters are aware that the audience is watching them. And even at one point, the characters were interacting directly with the audience. I just thought this movie was very entertaining, had some very funny and just great scenes in there. The next two movies I watched are both from Japan. I chose to watch Good Morning because I had heard there are a lot of fart jokes in there. And yeah, there were. There were these small little kids kind of just joking around and all that. And in general, I thought the movie was quite funny and yeah, just kind of a relaxing movie if you want to see just something simple play out. I'm a huge fan of Japanese food. So when I first heard that Tampopo is described not as a spaghetti western, but as a ramen western, I had to see what it's about. The entire movie is about a woman who owns a ramen restaurant and wants to become the best at her work. What I remember most about this movie is that in some scenes there was a lot of cooking going on, a lot of different dishes being served, miso soup, I guess sushi was on there, ramen noodles of course, and so I got kind of hungry, went upstairs, made me some ramen noodles and went back down and finished the movie. I was really looking forward to watching Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield, who won and were nominated for an Academy Award. Their performances were definitely the best part about the film. The story and the way it was told, I didn't find anything too special, but I must say I found it very interesting to see some of these corrupted people that were inside of the Black Panther Party betraying their brothers and sisters, and yeah, in the movie it would then eventually lead to the death of a civil rights activist, a well-known one. Those are the movies that I watched in October 2021. Now I would like to recommend y'all some movies. If anyone likes watching movies not knowing what it is about beforehand, I recommend to watch George Washington, just like I did. Persona I would recommend to anyone wanting to learn a bit more of cinema's history and some of its most influential movies. Another very influential and all-around great movie is Pierrot le Fou. It's exciting, it's dramatic, quite humorous at times, and I think it's a great movie whether you love and know a lot of French New Wave movies or you're just getting into that time period of films. I recommend to give this a watch. Alright, those are the movies I watched last month. Let me know which of these y'all have seen and how y'all like them, and I'll see y'all next month.